Today is Conference Championship Sunday. We'll keep it short and sweet and give you the lines as we get ready for the greatest day of the year in the National Football League. 3 o'clock Eastern on Fox. The Philadelphia Eagles, 2.5-point favorite. They're at home at the Link. The over-under sits at 46. And Bengals, Chiefs in Burrowhead, Cincinnati, getting 1.5 points with the hobbled Patrick Mahomes over under 48. Both teams fighting to punch their ticket to Super Bowl 57 in Glendale, Arizona, February 12th, 6:30 Eastern. Our kickoff show that day will come on from 1 to 3 p.m. to get you ready right here on Braves Country HD, the Armchair Quarterbacks Kickoff Show. And that's your Armchair Quarterback Sports Flash. Stay tuned right here on WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key in Noonan, Georgia, simulcasting on youtube.com at Braves Country.
Life or football, the margin for error is so small. I mean, the inches we need are everywhere around us. On this team, we fight for that inch. On this team, we tear ourselves and everyone else around us to pieces for that inch. We claw with our fingernails for that inch. Because we know when we add up all those inches, that's going to make the difference between winning and losing, between living and dying. I'll tell you this, in any fight, it's the guy who's willing to die who's going to win that inch. And I know if I'm going to have any life anymore, it's because I'm still willing to fight and die for that inch. Now, what are you going to do?
Armchair.
Community Access Channel.
He's the armchair quarterback. He's full of beer and he's full of snacks. The all-American man.
Yeah, howdy, hi, and how the hell are you? It's Conference Championship Sunday. It is finally here, the greatest day in the NFL schedule, in my opinion, of the year. And we're going to do a 2-hour kickoff show to get you going, get you started here. Welcoming in Mr. Sean O'Toole. Sean, how are you?
I'm fantastic. Can't wait. Best day of the year.
And Steven Troche, how the hell are you, sir?
Damn, you guys couldn't have said it better. This is one of my favorite Sundays of the year. I like it. I'm just, as you can see, champion. I am ready for it.
Champion. I look forward to Super Bowl Sunday the most, but as Steven knows, we always host something here and there's a lot of cooking and that's just fun. But from the football aspect of it, this is the best day because 2 tickets get punched and there's still 2 dreams alive at the end of the day, right? At the end of Super Bowl Sunday, one side's really happy and the other side's going, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Needed one more yard to beat the Rams.
Or in the case of the Bengals last year, just needed to not have the worst pass interference call in Super Bowl history called on the 5-yard line. But we don't want to talk about that.
Or in the case of the Titans, if they just would have called that a catch like they should have called it a catch with the Bucs Rams game in today's it would have been a different situation. The Titans would have played Sean King and the Bucs. And I'm pretty sure they'd have a ring on their finger right now. That was a real bad offense. So let's go ahead and get into it. A couple of things that we want to start off with. We'll start off with the no-way parlays. We've got a whole crew here coming today. We'll be here with you the next 2 hours, taking you all the way to the 3 o'clock hour, and we'll step out of the way for Conference Championship Sunday. So Bobby's on the way. The Tones and Joey, the brothers, are on the way. Doug's gonna join us in the last part of the show. One of the things we're gonna do in that last part, I took a poll with all the guys, and we're gonna announce who is the Mount Rushmore of conference championship games throughout the litany of the conference championship games. So obviously, that can go all the way back until Super Bowl I. So I didn't see any votes for that at that time period. I think there's because we don't have too many boomers on here. Sean and I are close, but we're not quite there yet.
Not quite.
All right, let's go ahead and get into the no way parlay. I did a teaser, but we're gonna open the floor for Sean first because he's the one that came up with this a while back. So, Sean, what is your no way parlay that you're gonna throw out there today?
So I've got some different player props, but I'm actually combining two of my favorite Hail Marys at the same time, which is a no way parlay combined with anytime touchdown scores. So I'm actually dipping into two pools at once here. So two different names, Brandon Ayuk, who's someone I'm a big fan of, and I think is always live to pop off at any point in time. And if you throw him together as an anytime touchdown scorer with young Mr. Kenneth Gainwell, and this is going to come up again later when we kind of do a detailed breakdown of the game, I think Philly's path to victory is going to have to come from zone reads and from running it right at the Niners. The Niners are really fast, really long, but not super big, especially on the defensive line, and that's where I think Philly's advantage is. So if you put Ayuk and Kenneth Gainwell together as anytime touchdown scorers, that is plus 1565, which means a little $5 wins you a little $78. So that is my no way parlay for Conference Championship Sunday.
What about you, Steven? And whoever that is in the background that wants to join in.
All right, so actually, I've got a one of the parlays I did. It's actually in that same game, Philly and San Fran. I think that both of those defenses are super strong. I combined Jalen Hurts and Brock Purdy both to throw an interception. So on that, it is not a no way parlay by any means of Sean's level, but that's a nice I think it's like plus 250.
Okay. So what I did on mine was I did a teaser parlay, and let me pull it up real quick so I got the exact numbers of when I got it. I actually placed this thing Friday evening, I believe. So do the math, but basically it's a 13-point teaser, four team 13-point teaser. So you're getting basically 140 back, minus 140. So for instance, if you bet, I want to say it takes $21 to make 15. Okay. So if you put 210 down, you'd make 150, so on and so forth. So I took the Bengals plus 14.5 because I think that's going to be a close game, and I don't envision that game getting blown out in any shape or form. San Francisco plus 15.5 because I know a lot of people think that Philadelphia is just going to run them off the field. I don't believe that. I think it's going to be a hard-fought game. I really think it's going to come down to who doesn't make the mistakes, and will it be Jalen Hurts that doesn't make the mistakes, or is it going to be Mr. Irrelevant that it suddenly becomes relevant because he doesn't make the mistakes? And I took the over in the Niners-Eagles game because I do believe there's going to be some points scored there. So that takes you all. By the way, I don't know if I said, but San Francisco goes up to 15.5. Sorry, I don't think I said that. The over in the San Francisco Eagles game then drops to 33.5. That's all you got to clear. I think that's very gettable. I actually like the over in their actual game. And then I'm taking the under in the Cincinnati Kansas City game because I think both teams, especially Kansas City with the injury to Mahomes, no matter what you're seeing, I do believe he's going to be checked down Charlie. And if you can get the over all the way up to 61.5, that's going to be a really difficult number to hit. I don't even think the 48.5, depending on what book you're looking at, gets hit, because we always have these dances of sugar plums in our head that, it's Mahomes versus Burrow, and even if Mahomes was healthy, right? Everyone's going, oh man, and then this could happen, and this could happen, and this could happen, and then you get to halftime, and you're like, it's 10-6. What the hell is going on? My life is over. So that's I don't think they're going to get to 61.5 anywhere near that number. I really see more, no matter who wins. I think it's going to be a 23-20 type ball game. I really do. I know that the last two games have actually been, what did we pull up the number the other day? 27-24 was the last two scores that takes you to 51. But the more you get familiar with an offense, the better the defense gets. And I do believe that Cincinnati's actually playing a really good defense right now, and that Kansas City front four is going to put pressure on Burrow. So I don't know how much up and down the field there's going to be. All right. Anyone else got any parlays they want to throw out there? Any kooky duke ones that you're like, you know what? What if?
I don't know, like I'm sure I'll have some of those way, too late for this show. But I was I actually found one of my teasers, and it's basically what you just said, but the complete opposite. It's Kansas City +8, San Fran +9.5, and then the KC Bengals over 40.
So you took San Francisco and Philly and Kansas City.
Yeah, but I also got this earlier in the week when Cincinnati was the favorite. So I got KC at +8.
Yeah, my only concern with that is that's the one game that I'm a little concerned that could not get out of hand. But what if Mahomes is really hurt and he can't make it all the way through, and then it's the Chad Henne show and they give the valiant fight but they lose by 10? That would be my only concern about that. But other than that, I don't see Philly getting blown out. I don't see San Fran getting blown out. When the hell does San Fran ever get blown out? I don't think it's in the cards. I think you're going to get a mashing type game, but I do think you're going to get big plays on both sides. But I don't hate it, but that would be the reason why I wouldn't touch it. Let's put something together real quick just to see what would happen. If you did, let's say you went crazy and you said it's going to be upset city, San Francisco to win because you get the +20. Cincinnati right now is on an even. And then it doesn't matter because they're basically the same. Well, I guess there's a little bit of difference here. So let's say we go crazy and go, it's going to be high scoring in Cincinnati, Kansas City over. And we'll just hit the over for the 46.5 because it doesn't really matter in the other one. If you do that and you put a parlay down and we'll just say $100. At 16-14 to pay out if you can hit all four. But that's a whole lot of ifs. And there's a reason why I'm not logged in, because I would be like, you know what? There's a chance. You're saying there's a chance. Let's go.
If there's a reason my hands are not touching the computer.
Hands up.
There's a couple of shows that I watch, and I specifically when I have it on, I am logged out of all betting apps. I'm like, nope, not even going to touch it. Don't even want my phone near me, right? Don't even want to be able to reach. Go, you know what? He's got a chance. He's got a point, man. Baylor's offense has really been struggling today. some wild ass theory that someone comes on with, and they say, IPFW, if you look at the rebounding line, next thing you know, let's go. How do I even find this game? Let's go. That jockey had us betting on a game the other night. It wasn't even on ESPN Plus. I didn't even check it, right? It wasn't on ESPN Plus. You had to go to the YouTube channel of the university, who had one phone sitting in the middle of the court. During halftime, they didn't even go to commercial. They just showed people walking around on the court. They were doing some kind of game. I don't even know what it was. And I was like, it was that night I said, I may have a problem. I'm betting on a game that is on YouTube, and it's not even getting taken down because nobody owns the rights, because nobody cares about the rights. What was funny is there was like 300 people watching. I was like, all of them. Well, maybe 5 of them are related to the players. The rest of them were all going, come on, baby, let's go, let's go. And the audio is so bad you had to mute your device because it was like scratchy. It was like trying to make out what Charlie Brown's teacher was saying. I was like, geez Louise. Anyways, we move on. We'll go ahead and take a quick break. When we come back, Bobby's joining us, and we're going to do some DFS fun. Keep it locked in here on the Armchair Quarterbacks Kickoff Show right here on Braves Country and Braves Country HD, wherever you may stream. You're listening to The Key all the way to the top of the 3 o'clock hour.
You're a cop, huh?
No, what I am, Sonny, is about 50 pounds heavier and one hell of a lot meaner, so you better straighten up your act. I don't think I like it.
Dixie Handle Company, 5 generations of the Strickland family have produced quality hardwood farm and garden tools, wooden shutters, and custom furniture. This small business has been owned and operated since 1992 and ships to customers across the world. If you're looking for the highest quality tool handles, Dixie Handle Company is your place. Every item is handpicked to your specifications. If it's made of wood, they do it. Call now, 931-722-3395. That's 931-722-3395. Or go online to dixiehandle.com. The Dixie Handle Company. Welcome to Craftsmanship, a proud sponsor of Braves Country Baseball.
It's the best in sports and entertainment, and get locked in and locked down with Rhino Radio Penitentiary, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. with your host, me, Ryan O'Neill, each and every morning, right here with the best in sports and entertainment, all the way from professional sports to college sports to River Dragons hockey and everything in between, including some of the very best local and national guests. It's the Rhino Radio Penitentiary, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. Monday through Fridays, right here on 99.1 FM WQEE.
Wendy's only makes one kind of breakfast, your new favorite one. How do we do it? With fresh cracked eggs, oven-baked bacon, and flaky croissants. You know, the things your old breakfast wasn't doing. So toss that old news and its soggy eggs somewhere useful. And get to Wendy's. A sausage, egg, and Swiss croissant, bacon, egg, and Swiss croissant, and honey butter chicken biscuit. Choose wisely. Choose Wendy's.
The price and participation may vary at U.S. Wendy's.
You're listening to WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key in Noonan, Georgia.
In 1961, the shotgun kept hitting the bullseye against the Detroit Lions. This game was the formation's finest hour.
Detroit at that time had one of the greatest defenses in all football. They hadn't had over 10-point average scored against them in 4 or 5 years.
We had never seen the shotgun before, and they literally picked us to death. They would do 5 yards and 6 yards and 5 yards, and whatever defense that we would do, they were able to offensively take advantage of our defensive maneuvers. It was a very boring game. We lost 49-0.
So really, this got the attention of a lot of people, and it should have, because it was something that nobody knew how to stop. Joe Schmidt, the middle linebacker for Detroit at that time, he told me later in that game, he said, I went into the huddle and I called every defense we knew we had and some we didn't have, and we couldn't stop you. And finally, I just went in the huddle and I said, just line up and protect yourselves. We don't know how to stop this thing.
Armchair.
Yeah, the armchair quarterback. He's kind of fun and he's kind of bad. The all-American man. With a cool one in his head.
Welcome back. Bobby joins Sean, Steven, and I, and let the insults fly from Sean. Here we go.
I'm ready. Bring him on.
How are you?
He looks normal today. I don't see anything crazy in that room aside from
there we go.
Gator flag. Good Lord, get that off the wall. What are you doing, buddy?
It
Why
ain't
are
on
you
the
doing
wall.
that to yourself?
I'd have a pretty hard time getting it off there. It's kind of stuck there.
And just get a new wall. It's over.
You're actually hiring a whole team to edit that out every single time he's on. All right, let's go ahead and get into our DFS. Let me go ahead and hit this button so we can share the screen so folks can see what's going on here. We're going into the DraftKings lobby, and let me get into the right one. I thought I had this in, but here we go. Classic and 2 games. And now we have to make sure we don't. Here we go. All right, we'll go ahead and enter this bad boy right here. And all right. Whose turn is it this time?
I went last week, so I know it's not me.
Yeah, I don't think I've stacked us in a long time. So I'll go first. Why don't we go me and then Mac and then Bobby and then Trosh?
However y'all want to do it.
All
Next week, I'll probably bow out since there's only 2 games, and that way we don't get so many different theories, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or 2 teams. Not next week, but Super Bowl Sunday. Okay. Where are we going?
Well, I'm going to start off with at quarterback, the MVP of Burrowhead, Mr. Joe Burrow himself, and he is again. There's not a lot of volatility here when we're down to four games, so or 4 teams in 2 games, so not a lot of
theory. You're either going to be really right or really wrong.
Yep, it's going to be one of the two. But I'm going to save us a little bit on the second half of the stack because I really like T. Higgins in this matchup. I actually prefer him to chase a little bit. I think Kansas City is going to force the ball into the middle of the field as much as they can by pressuring Burrow. Kansas City does not have great depth at secondary, but what they do have is pretty decent outside secondary options. So I think they're going to force him into the middle of the field, and that's where T does his work. So Burrow and Higgins.
Okay, so let me go ahead and get over here, and man, I'm going to pay it. Give me run CMC. Eli Mitchell is going in banged up. They're saying CMC is good to go, that it was much to do about nothing earlier in the week. And if there's one area of the defense that or the team that the Philadelphia Eagles have been vulnerable all year long, it's been the running game, and they would actually be ranked lower if it weren't for the fact that they get out on top of folks so much that they abandon the running game, right? Well, I don't think that's going to be the case today, and B, it's not like CMC goes away if they get behind and have to throw the ball a lot. There'll be all kinds of design passes for him. So give me run CMC. I think it's going to be hard to win without him in your lineup. Who's next?
That would be me. I'm going to make sure. I know he's a cheaper option. I could save him for later, but I want to make sure he's in this lineup. Give me Kadarius Toney at 3,700. He had another double-digit game last week, and if you can get at least 10 points for 3,700, that's great value. You can get him and spend that money elsewhere. You won't have to worry about the points.
All right, Steven, where are you going?
Bobby, I love that you did that because it allows me to spend up.
Mm-hmm.
I know I was all over Travis Kelce this week. He's 7,800, but I'm going to save $800 there. And I'm just going to say one thing first. DK Metcalf, 10 for 136, 2 touchdowns. CeeDee Lamb, 10 for 117. That's the last 2 games against San Fran. Give me AJ Brown at 7,000. He's gonna absolutely explode this game.
Okay. Let's see where we Sean, where are you going?
Yeah, we need to get into some cheap territory. So I'm gonna save us a boatload of money at the tight end spot. And I'm going to take a name that I don't think a lot of people spend a lot of time thinking about. And this is one Mr. Hayden Hurst, who has become a favorite target of Mr. Burrow, especially on those 3rd and 7s and especially in the red zone. I'm not expecting a lot in the yards category here, but he has all the potential for a Dalton Schultz game here. And what I mean by that is the Dalton Schultz game, a couple weeks ago against the Bucs, where I think he had 4 catches, but 2 of them were for touchdowns. So Hayden Hurst, $3,000.
So I'm going to go to the defense. I don't like the Niners. You pay the most, and you're going up against the most volatile offense, right? I'm not big on the Eagles because you're paying 2,800, and the 49ers will they're going to get their points. I'm not going Chiefs because they're the Chiefs defense. So give me the cheapest one of the bunch, the Bengals, who could be going up against Chad Henne. Let's just keep putting that out there, and I'll take my chances in what I think will be a lower scoring game than the San Francisco Philadelphia game. By the way, I am wearing Reggie White today, so
nice.
Yeah. But I had to cancel it up by wearing a Braves hat because I can't just wear all Philadelphia and make me throw up. Okay. Who's next? Bobby?
Back to me. So how much money do we have per person right now?
We have
6,900.
Right.
All right.
Nice.
I'll go right under that. I'll go with Devontae Smith. I know we're doubling up on Eagles receivers here, but he's absolutely been lighting it up lately. I don't see him slowing down. I think he'll have a big game. Maybe not as big as AJ, but I think he'll be worth the 6,800.
And that will leave us for $7,000 going back to Steven.
I really wanted you to go running back because we had like there was it's so easy to fit Travis Kelce in here, but I have the money. Give me Joe Mixon at 6,500. Complete off just to finish off that Bengals overstack almost.
Okay, so what we have here is Joe Burrow at 6,800 if you're playing along at home. McCaffrey is at 8. Joe Mixon 6,500. T. Higgins 5,400. Tony 37. Brown 7,000. Hurst even 3. And Smith is 6,800. Bengals are 2,300. And there we go. So there we go with that. And is there anything anybody would have done differently? I'll go around and around here. Steven, what's the one guy you didn't get in there that you wish you would have?
Kelce. I mean, he's far and away the best tight end on the slate.
Sean, what about you?
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. There's just no way to fit him in unless you take out Brown, and that kind of washes it out. So you would have to go much lower than AJ Brown to fit Kelce in, or go much lower than Mixon, like throw in Pacheco or McKinnon to try and save enough to squeeze him in there. I don't know. It's just, I think the Bengals are going to be a light show tomorrow.
Bobby?
I like the potential for McKinnon at 5,400. I think he could have a solid game with Mahomes being banged up. They could rely on him a little bit more, and he's still a cheaper option.
If there's one guy I would have liked to have seen in our lineup that we didn't get in, it's Derrick Henry, but that's not possible. Stupid Tannehill and his stupid ankle. Or as they've been calling it, his vajankle.
Who's he quarterbacking for next year? Because it feels like, I know he's not going to be here. That's a given, but I just don't know. Like it's gonna be a last man standing situation. Like there've been some good.
If Atlanta strikes out on Lamar Jackson, does Arthur Smith go grab him?
He had his best season under him, so I mean it's easy to draw those lines. It's not that hard. Like it seems like Brady's gonna be a Raider. It seems like Carr is gonna be probably a Texan, I would guess. It looks like Rodgers is gonna be a Jet, which I can't stop laughing about. I can't wait for that to happen.
I honestly think that he'll be really good with New York. I mean, I think it's a perfect fit.
He will. I just the thought of just the fact that Favre was there and the New York media, and he's not a New York guy. Like the amount of entertainment I can foresee going through my brain, like literally directly into my medulla oblongata, like somebody injected it in, is just too much for me to handle. I can't.
The other obvious landing place for Aaron Rodgers that no one really is talking about much because it's not as fun to talk about is Green Bay. I mean, all these receivers are going to be 1 year older, 1 year better. I'd like to see what he could do with Christian Watson and Romeo Doubs in year 2, right?
Yeah.
Lazard's going to move on. He'll force the Packers to re-sign Cobb. He's already made the comment that if he goes wherever he goes, he wants to take. He had like 5 guys that he named that he wants to take with him. It was Lazard, Tunyon,
Donald Driver.
Yes, exactly. Donald Driver. Is Robert Brooks still out there? Can he come back? What was the guy's name? I used to call him the Cheese Ghost.
Jordy Nelson?
Yes, Jordy.
Oh.
Jordy's probably
out of retirement.
He's in the Alvin Harper All-Stars. He got a big money contract from the Raiders and left Green Bay, which I'm always amused when number 2 guys get big deals and then people are surprised that the reason they were number 2 was the quarterback they were playing with in the last place. Like, that's why it's called the Alvin Harper Hall of Fame. It's like never pay a number 2 receiver ever.
I think Alvin Harper can move over because I think Galladay took the.
Oh my God, that's like a tier. There's a tier above Alvin Harper for people that like did the Lufthansa heist. It's like it's Galladay, Brock Osweiler. I'd have to sit down and think about it, but
Albert
you got to have Hainsworth is up there. Yeah, you got to have a Mount Rushmore for just like public thefts. Like those are just armed robberies. Like those aren't even football.
Cheeseburger Lacey.
Don't forget about Cheeseburger Lacey. Yeah.
As soon as he left, man, he just gave a whenever he went to a new team, he did not ask where the workout facility was. That was not on his list.
Don't forget about who is the Trent Richardson. The Colts didn't pay him, but they gave up 3 picks for him to Cleveland.
Man,
That's a bad one.
That was.
Jeez. That cost so many people. That cost more people their jobs than Enron. I mean, that cost a lot of people their jobs.
It's bad enough when you swing and miss. It's worse when you trade up to do it. Trey Lance.
Trey Lance.
I seem to be doing all right with Brock.
Let's get into prop bets. The prop bets everyone's into today. I'm going to be curious to see where we're at on that. And then after that, we will play a little over under and just I'm going to throw ones out there to y'all and y'all tell me where you're at. Looking at the prop bets, where are we going? I guess I have, the way this is set up is I'm going to have to do each team. You'll give me 1 second. I'm going to have to finagle back and forth. Who has got the first prop that they want to talk about?
I'm going to go with a really quick and easy one here. And he already came up. So Bobby mentioned him. Jerick McKinnon's over under for player rushing yards is 28.5, which seems insane and very low. That is one that I think you can hit easy. Now, it's not great odds. It's not like it's plus 5,000 or anything. It's minus 114. But that is a really, really low number. And I don't foresee a scenario where he gets held to under that. He is not – I think Pacheco's the guy that the Chiefs use more on sweeps and getting around the edge. But McKinnon's very much the between the tackles guy. And when Cincinnati has been taken advantage of on the ground, not that they played any teams this playoffs who tried it or who were any good at it. But when they have struggled, it's been kind of in the A gaps and the B gaps. It's been through the middle. That's not really what Trey Hendrickson does. Like, he's a pass rusher. So that just seems really, really low to me.
All right, Bobby, what's that?
I like Deebo Samuel to go over 4.5 receptions. I don't see a path where the 49ers get out to a lead and they can just rely on the run. I think they'll be consistently passing through this game. I think they'll need Brock Purdy to have a solid game, a mistake-free game. And I see them using Deebo a lot.
The most receiving yards in the game. Looking at that one right there. Obviously, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith are going to be the favorites. Deebo or Brandon Ayuk's not a terrible gamble. And
My
mainly
only concern with Deebo is a lot of his work comes in the receiving game or in the rushing game. And especially with Mitchell out, I think he's going to see more work in the backfield.
Well, what happens if Eagles get out to a big lead and they start trying to milk the clock, and then all of a sudden it's check down Charlie and they're just playing prevent, and if it's not Ayuk and if it's not Deebo, I mean, you got McCaffrey's not likely, but you never know. He does have the big playability. Kittle, I never take the most receiving yards for the team that's favored. I always take it for the team that's the underdog because they're the ones going to be getting, especially if Kansas City's running on all motors and they are scoring. Man, Jamar Chase would be a really good bet. I don't know what that noise is, but stop. I don't know which three of you are doing that. What is the prop you like best, Steven?
Like you were just talking about Kittle right there. His over under for receiving yards is 47.5. He's been kind of Purdy's security blanket, and he has a tremendous mismatch over those Philly linebackers. So like that 47.5 feels like such a low number. I'm smashing the over.
See, he's 3.5 receptions as well. Trying to see if there's all right. Without me knowing ahead of time where we're going, it's kind of hard for me to finagle this thing. Let me move back a little bit. I think everybody can still see it pretty well. My favorite prop, and let me get to the right game, Kansas City. We're going to go to Kansas City. We're going to go to the quarterback props and total passing yards. I like Patrick Mahomes under 282.5. The reason why I say that is Cincinnati's defense has been playing well, but I'm also gambling on the fact that Mahomes may not play the whole game. That someone's going to get in there and twist an ankle, do a little action.
Little gator roll.
Yeah.
While you got him on the ground.
Yeah. Ever notice anytime you're talking about cheating, the word gator always comes in?
Always comes up.
Every time. What do you think about that, Bobby?
What did you guys pay Verse and Jordan Travis to come back?
Wow.
A lot. I'll tell you what, we paid him a lot more than you actually paid the 5-star quarterback that just transferred out of there.
Hey, we got Lagway after him, so we'll be all right.
You promised $13 million, but you actually paid him probably. Well, I bet he still got $1 million out of it somehow.
Whatever. He can go back to Miami. I don't care about him.
You don't care till he's lighting it up, and you've got
not at Miami. He's not going to be. Maybe somewhere else.
Is going to be manning the Gators this fall.
Hey man, he'd be doing it regardless. Rashad is going to be a freshman.
Graham,
got to get through this.
How did he end up there? How did Billy Ball go? No, we're not trying to emulate what's going on in Wisconsin.
All this talk about the Gators getting out of my life is making me upset because I think the Lions are probably going to draft AR-15 if they have the chance.
Do you really?
I don't want them to, but that's what nearly every projection system I've looked at has the Lions taking them with their own pick, which is like 15 or 16, I think, because we're not going to take him at 6. But
all right, let's do some over under. I'm just going to rattle them to each guys. We'll start top to bottom. So Steven, Kadarius Toney, over under 35.5 yards.
Over. I was about to say, just you don't have to finish the sentence. Kadarius Toney over everything.
Bobby, Samaje Perine, 16.5 yards receiving.
I'd go over in that, but I'm not super confident in it.
Sean, Jamar Chase, 6.5 receptions.
Give me the under. I think they're going to double him, which goes back to my Higgins point.
All right, let's go to you know what I would like to know about this one, about this particular game. San Francisco, Philadelphia, is the rushing props on this and total rushing yards. Steven, Christian McCaffrey, 58.5 yards.
I'm going to go under.
Bobby, Jalen Hurts, 46.5 yards.
Is that rushing?
Yeah. No, it's passing. 46.5 yards. What are we talking about here?
You're fair point.
What year do you think this game's taking place?
I'm gonna go under. Not against that front seven. I don't trust many rushing props.
Sean, Miles Sanders, 51.5 yards.
Under.
He's been a sneaky prop that I've hit in multiple weeks, the last several weeks, where for whatever reason, his number is low and he goes way past it. I think he beat the Giants prop that I played by 40 yards, something like that. I mean, he was ridiculously low. Real quick, quarterback props in this game. Brock Purdy, 219.5 yards passing. Steven.
Over.
Bobby, 250.5 yards passing. Over under.
For Hurts, over.
Yes, for Hurts. Not receiving, passing. Sean, where's that? So you got to get back up. Here we go. Joe Burrow, 277.5.
I'm going to go under. I think they're going to have to grind it out and a bit more than anybody's thinking.
Steven, touchdown passes, Burrow 1.5.
I mean, logically over, but that I don't like the number that we're getting at it. He's throwing over 1.5, but it's not something I would bet at that price.
Would you be more likely to take Mahomes at 2.5 over?
Yes, because I already did.
Did you?
Yeah.
It's plus 150. Bobby, completions, Joe Burrow, 25.5.
I'll go over.
And Sean, Mahomes, same question, same number. Yeah, Mahomes 25.5 completions, over under.
I'm going to go over. Don't love that number, but.
Yeah, once again, anytime I take a prop on a guy, I don't want to see like some red flag on his fantasy football profile or an orange, something orange and glowing saying there's an update. I don't want any of that. I want a guy who's coming in 100%. If he gets injured in the game, that's a part of the game. But I don't want to take a guy who I saw, basically he went from playing like from Michael Jordan to Long John Silver in one snap of the leg there. I really do hope that he is healthy because I want to see a good game. I want to see an old-fashioned shootout. I want to see a game that we're all going to be talking about for years and years and years. Even if Kansas City wins, I don't want to watch the game be like 17-16, and it was just a nasty game. All right, let's take a real quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the lines of the actual game, and Sean and Steven are going to give us their locks of the day. We'll be right back here on The Key in Braves Country HD, wherever you stream the Armchair Quarterbacks Kickoff Show.
I got back to the hotel at 7:30 this morning, and I went up to the desk to leave a wake-up call for 7 o'clock. The lady goes, "It's past 7. No, the next one. You got another one coming around, don't you? Why don't you just put me on that one?"
Tom has been a teacher for over 40 years. One day, I think one of the students had asked the question and he didn't remember the answer. And I also noticed that he was letting his class out earlier than they were supposed to let out. I was really starting to worry.
Levi and I talked about how it would change our lives, but he was there beside me.
When something feels different, it could be Alzheimer's. Now is the time to talk. Visit alz.org/ourstories to learn more. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
It's the best in sports and entertainment, and get locked in and locked down with Rhino Radio Penitentiary, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. with your host, me, Ryan O'Neill, each and every morning, right here with the best in sports and entertainment, all the way from professional sports to college sports to River Dragons hockey and everything in between, including some of the very best local and national guests. It's the Rhino Radio Penitentiary, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. Monday through Friday, right here on 99.1 FM WQEE.
Burning bright beneath the North Texas sky, in the heart of the Lone Star State, is a galaxy of extraordinary football players. They are the Dallas Cowboys, a freewheeling, all-American, star-kissed team, motivated and disciplined by the genius of a coach named Landry. The Cowboys are pro football's glamour team, dynamic, progressive, and spectacular. But Coach Tom Landry has learned more along the way to the Super Bowl than by winning.
I don't think I would enjoy my profession if I knew I was always a winner. I think it's really the chase that's important. It's the challenge that you're after, much more than the winning.
The chase begins with defense.
It looks like confusion to anybody who doesn't know much about the game because it looks like it's just 11 men attacking each other at one time. But as you learn the game, it becomes very scientific, especially in professional football. It becomes very intriguing and exciting.
Armchair.
I'm the dude. So that's what you call me, that or his dudeness or duder or, El Duderino if you're not into the whole brevity thing.
He's the armchair quarterback. He's full of beer and he's full of snacks. The all-American man.
Welcome back. We are rolling here, taking you all the way to the 3 o'clock hour where you're going to get Chiefs versus, I'm sorry, the 3 o'clock game is San Fran versus 49ers. The 6:30 game, Chiefs versus Bengals. We did this yesterday, and I got Tones and Bobby's opinion on this. Steven and Sean, if you could only watch one game today, is it the AFC or the NFC Championship game?
I'm going to go the AFC. For me, like as a Dolphins fan, I mean, like AFC is like what I know better, like what I know best. But I just think that the Bengals and Chiefs be a much higher scoring game.
Sean, what say you?
I would say the AFC as well, because we have some recent history now with these two teams, and this is the 4th time they've met in a calendar, basically in like 13 months, right? That just puts a little more stakes on it, because there's some other narratives there.
I really am in the minority. My game would be the NFC game. But I don't know. I've become weirdly, I've become a bit of a fake fan of the 49ers. I don't even know why, but I like teams that run the ball as much as they do. And I think I really like the underdog story of Brock Purdy. It's probably coming to an end today for him, but I really want to see if they can go in. Plus, there's nothing better than watching Philadelphia fans cry after hearing about, I've heard all week about, the World Series. Did you listen to the crowd? It was unreal. They act like that was the only crowd to ever make any noise ever. Flip on the television during any Southeastern Conference football game on Saturday, and I'm talking about it could be Ole Miss versus Vandy, and you're going to hear the same crowd noise.
I don't like that. They think everything that happens in Philly is the best thing to ever happen anywhere either. They're still yucking around about Reese Hoskins' home run off Strider, and yeah, I get that.
I'm still fuming about the lack of effort from Ronald Acuna Jr. on the inside the Parker from, what was that? Was that Real Muto?
Real Muto, yep.
Yeah. He had the best seat in the house. Ball's just rolling around. Michael Harris is breaking his neck trying to get the ball, and Acuna's like there. Oh man, and you should have caught that. That's going to be a problem.
That's a conversation for months from now, but I can't.
That's a conversation for Monday, because baseball season has officially begun in my world.
Yes, it has,
and it really gets geared up after today, because you're going to have 2 weeks of. I cannot sit there for 2 weeks and talk about who's going to win the Super Bowl.
Nope.
And we're not that far from the WBC. All right, let's get into the problems at hand today. The AFC lines, NFC lines. I'll go ahead and pull those back up real quick. And here we go. So let me get to the actual game itself. Here we go. All right. Chiefs, Bengals, -1.5. Look, the number's moving all over the place. It could be 1, depending on where you're at. I've even seen some push all the way down to pick 'em. I've also seen Cincinnati getting up to 2.5. If you can grab 3, if it gets to 3, grab it. But as one famous bettor once said, if it's there, it's going to be there at during the heartbeat of a hummingbird. Where are y'all leaning before we get your locks? Where are y'all leaning right now? Cincinnati, Kansas City +1.5. Cincy. Steven?
I ultimately think Casey's going to win this game. So maybe -1.5 for me.
Sean?
I hate it because I really want Cincinnati to win this game today, but beating the same team 4 times in a row is just tough. It's tough. So if I'm laying my money, I'm laying KC -1.5. I know that Mahomes is hobbled, and I kind of don't care.
What say you, Bobby?
You know, I want the Chiefs to win, but I can't say I think they will. I got the Bengals covering. I think they'll win.
The NFC line. What about the over/under? What's everyone's gut feeling about the over/under?
I do think there's going to be points scored. 48.5 is a good number.
You do? Okay. I've been pounding the table all week about the under. Sean.
I have a tough time believing the under because last year's game, I think people tend to forget, was a little bit on the sloppy side. And Cincinnati really frustrated Kansas City with the drop 8 and just Mahomes refused to take what was underneath. And that still went over this number. I mean, that ended at 51. So I don't like the under in this game at all.
Bobby?
Yeah, I got this going over. I think Mahomes' ankle is a concern, but I don't think it'll keep the Chiefs from putting points on the board. I got the over.
Yeah, I don't even care about it if Mahomes is 100%. I just think these teams have seen each other too much. And when you've seen each other this much, there's only so many times. There's a reason why they don't play each other twice in college football every year, or it's not designed that way. Because you once you've seen something, you've seen it. So it's really hard to adjust. Real quick, gonna go around here. These are the ones I think people sleep on that they should be paying attention to. We'll start with the early game, San Francisco, Philadelphia. The first half line is 1.5. Philly, San Fran. And some people have theories that, hey, one team could get out to a good lead, but the other team's going to get them in the end, that kind of thing. So I think a lot of people sleep on the first half line. The quarter lines, to me, unless you're betting the first quarter, the rest of it's a crapshoot. It's much better to do live betting unless you have a very strong feeling about how the game's going to go and how the fourth quarter will play out. But the first half line, anyone feel different about Philly, San Fran first half?
No, I mean, for me, it's going to like Philly minus 1.5 is the play.
Anyone taking San Fran in that deal?
I wouldn't. The one thing the odds aren't what I would want, but the over for the first half is kind of interesting because the teams that have gotten on San Fran this year, I mean, go back and queue up that Raiders tape, man. They made Jared Stidham look like Jeff Hostetler for 3.5 quarters. So the teams that have gotten on them through the air. So that over for the first half is a little interesting.
Bobby?
Yeah, I'm with the Eagles minus 1.5, and I'm going with the over, I'd say. I take the second half under, but I think the first half could be a little bit higher scoring.
I like the over in that game just across the board. I'm a little hesitant to take the over in the first half because I could see this being like a heavyweight fight where there's just jabs in the first half, and the second half they get rolling. But man, that 23, that's that sweet spot that you like. That's that sweet spot that you like because 14-10, you clear this. So if I was gonna pick it, I would take the over in this game. Let's get to the Kansas City game. Once again, first half, same question. This here, it really just comes down to who do you think is going to win the half. It's plus 0.5 Cincy. I love this one, and the reason why I love this one is because I could very much see this game being a situation where it's tied at the half, and if I've got that hook in my pocket, let's go. Steven, what say you?
No, I mean that is. It's really hard to argue with that because I mean this is good. I really feel it's gonna be a close game throughout. I do think if anything at the half, KC will be up. So give me them minus 1.5.
Sean, what say you?
So I like getting the half a point on Cincinnati because again I think this game's going to be close. I don't do half and quarter stuff a lot. Is that middle column like who's leading basically because it's not to win. Right.
Yeah.
Well, what it is over here is so the middle column, what you're seeing is that's even, if you just take even, that's the money line for it.
Got it.
If you take that hook into your pocket, then it's a minus 120. So
Makes
in
sense.
theory, if you're just wanting to say, hey, I want to make more money off of this, and you think Cincinnati's going to have the lead, then it would be smarter to hit the even.
Okay, got it.
But if you're sitting there going, man, if it's tied, I got that and I got that hook in my pocket, let's go. So that's kind of the game that you play. It's kind of the same thing with KC. If you really like KC, you're like, dude, that thing could be tied at the half. You're going to lose if you take the minus 0.5, but you're getting even money back. You notice it's exact opposite. And if you take him just to win the half, it's minus 120.
Okay.
It's usually not available, but if you can grab it at kickoff and find out who got who won the coin toss.
Those are always fun.
I don't think they're ever going to change it, but wouldn't it be nice to know who's going to win who won the coin toss leading into the game?
Yeah. Be interesting.
I wouldn't surprise me if down the road we get that, because it would open up so much things in the betting world. Because if you know that San Francisco is going to get the ball first in the second half, you're going to play the second half lines a lot different than you would if you're like, I don't know, is Philly? I don't know, whatever. So let's go ahead and get your locks of the day, and we'll go ahead and get this off the screen. Locks of the day, and your one big thing. We'll start with you, Sean.
So my lock is kind of an interesting one, but Brock Purdy to not throw an interception is plus 136. And here's what I'm betting on here. That's my lock. I don't believe Kyle Shanahan will put him in a position to throw an interception. And that's my wager here. My wager is on Kyle Shanahan, unless on Brock Purdy. He could have definitely had one last week, maybe two. He's definitely still looked like a rookie quarterback at times. But I think the game plan in this game from Shanahan is going to be very specific. The Eagles may force him to push the ball down the field. If they get you in 3rd and 5 or longer, the Eagles, nobody heats up the pocket like the Eagles. And that's the one thing we're not talking about in this game. They bring the heat on 3rd and 5 or more. And I think Purdy's going to have to make some throws.
49ers do too.
49ers do too. The Eagles have, somebody threw it out this week, like the second most sacks in the last 10 years were recorded by the Eagles this year. Now, again, I know, look at who they played a little bit and where some of those sacks came. A lot of them came early in the year.
Daniel Jones, man.
What's that?
What are you trying to say about Daniel Jones?
I'm trying to say he takes a sack here and there.
What are you trying to say about Justin Wentz, baby? Come on now.
No interceptions for Brock Purdy, plus 136. My lock, which means he's absolutely going to throw it on the first pass, and all three of you are going to text me. But
what's your one big thing?
My one big thing is I'm pulling for the Bengals, man, and not just for Brian, but also just for the people in that neck of the woods. I really will not stop saying that I think they got a raw deal in the Super Bowl last year. I think a lot of calls went against them, especially in the fourth quarter, and they could have easily been world champions. I really hope the Bengals win. I am the resident of all of us who are into, bets and stuff. I'm the resident vibes scientist here. I hate the vibes of trying to beat a team for the 4th straight time. That's my only big concern, but I think we're going to get it. Niners, Bengals, Super Bowl. Let's go.
So we got Chiefs and we've got the Eagles represented here. I don't have an Eagles helmet, so I grabbed OU. Steven, real quick, what is your lock and your walk-off?
So my lock, I tried to find a better pick here, but I'm just going to stick with that George Kittle over 47.5 receiving yards. He went for 95 last week against Dallas, and I think he's in great position to hit that over. And my one big thing, I really do want the Bengals to pull it off, but I just, like Sean said, it's so hard to win 4 times in a row against one team, and you're going into KC. I don't see it. I don't see it happening. KC, Philly Super Bowl. Let's go.
Okay, we will be back in a flash. When we come back, Tones and Joey join us. Bobby Stan, the combination of Sean and Trosh are going to take a back seat, and we will see them Super Bowl Sunday. We'll be back in a flash here on The Key. You're listening to WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key in Noonan, Georgia.
Armchair. You're listening to the Armchair Quarterback Sports Radio, #1 sports station.
Good afternoon, and this is your Armchair Quarterbacks Sports Flash. Today is Conference Championship Sunday. We'll keep it short and sweet and give you the lines as we get ready for the greatest day of the year in the National Football League. 3 o'clock Eastern on Fox. The Philadelphia Eagles, 2.5-point favorite. They're at home at the Link. The over-under sits at 46. And Bengals, Chiefs in Burrowhead, Cincinnati, getting 1.5 points with the hobbled Patrick Mahomes over under 48. Both teams fighting to punch their ticket to Super Bowl 57 in Glendale, Arizona, February 12th, 6:30 Eastern. Our kickoff show that day will come on from 1 to 3 p.m. to get you ready right here on Braves Country HD, the Armchair Quarterbacks Kickoff Show. And that's your Armchair Quarterback Sports Flash. Stay tuned right here on WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key in Noonan, Georgia, simulcasting on youtube.com at Braves Country.
Try to stop smoking. That's a beauty, huh? Well, with cigarettes, my wife and I, we made a deal, my wife and I. We only smoke after sex. I got the same pack now since 1975. What bothers me is my wife. She's up to 3 packs a day.
We're down to 1 strike here. It's 0-2. Gurriel, the last hope for the Houston Astros. And here's the 0-2 pitch. Swung on, bounced over to Dansby. Dansby fires it over to first. And here comes the dog pile. Fire the cannons in the battery. Do the chop, baby! All throughout Braves country, pop that top! Your Atlanta Braves have won it all!
Armchair.
You'll do anything to stay healthy. So isn't it time to think about your water? Aquasana water filters remove contaminants other filters don't, like lead, bacteria, viruses, and pesticides. Up to 99% of 88 contaminants, while leaving vital minerals you need like potassium, calcium, and magnesium. Visit waterfilter.com now for pure, delicious water and the ultimate peace of mind. Aquasana, better water, better you.
It's the best in sports and entertainment, and get locked in and locked down with Rhino Radio Penitentiary, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. with your host, me, Ryan O'Neill, each and every morning, right here with the best in sports and entertainment, all the way from professional sports to college sports to River Dragons hockey and everything in between, including some of the very best local and national guests. It's the Rhino Radio Penitentiary, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. Monday through Friday, right here on 99.1 FM WQEE.
Your true friends are the people in your life that totally get your inside jokes, your unique style, most important, what you want to eat. Taco Bell knows that when you get together with your real friends, it doesn't matter what you're doing, but hey, it might as well be something that everybody can get into, like the Taco and Burrito Cravings Pack with 4 crunchy tacos and 4 beefy 5-layer burritos. So even if you're all sitting around doing absolutely nothing, you know you'll still have a good time. It's Taco Bell's Taco and Burrito Cravings Pack. Get it for the friends that get it.
You're listening to WQEE, The Key in Noonan, Georgia, home of Braves country, weekdays, 3 p.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern, right here on The Key and youtube.com at Braves Country.
Hey, where's my tickets to the Sonics game? They were here just a second ago. Somebody stole my tickets to the Sonics game! This stinks! This is total BS! This is... Oh, got it. Okay, where's the French fries? I ordered French fries. This stinks! This is total BS! Eddie Vermoy is gonna... Oh, here they are. Where's my power bar? I had a power bar here. Someone stole my power bar! This stinks! This is total BS! This is... Oh, here it is. Hey, where the hell's my assorted tape? This is total... Oh, got it.
Armchair.
Community Access Channel.
He's the armchair quarterback. He's full of beer and he's full of snacks. The all-American man.
Welcome back, and joining us is Tampa Tones. We've lost Joey for a second. We'll get it figured out. Tampa, how are you?
Good. NFC championship weekend, man. Can't beat it. I know we just talked 2 days ago now, man. These days are flying by, but I'm excited to be here talking about it. Let's go.
as we bring Joey in, see if he's done chewing his fingernails. I had to hide you there, Joe. You're chewing your fingernails. I noticed the other day as I was watching the replay, I was like, man, we got to get him something on those nails, a pedicure or manicure. Well, actually, that'd be pretty impressive if you could chew your toenails.
Probably back in the day in high school, not anymore.
And there's always someone weird into that.
So it's 2020.
There's always a way to make money off the weirdness. How are you today, sir?
I'm just ready for two great games. Like I mentioned earlier in the week, I think this is one of the best 2-game championship weekends we've had with, all 4 teams respectively so deserve to be here, and I can't wait to watch them. So it's going to be an exciting Sunday evening, and let's do it.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm on the fence on if I'm glad that the Cincinnati game is the late game or if I would have preferred it to be the early game. I would have liked to have seen what the elements would be like in Philadelphia, a night game, San Francisco, but maybe San Francisco's got a better chance of pulling off the upset if they as a day game. I'm trying to think of the way that the light goes down in Philly. I would think fourth quarter it's going to be pretty dark in that stadium.
Mm-hmm.
So not that that'll make a big difference, but early on in the game, the way the shadows hit, you could see a big play being affected by that. You shouldn't have any of that going on in the night game, but it is supposed to be really cold there. So good luck if you're going out there. But the good news is if you went out to Kansas City to watch the game and tailgate, someone's roasting a pig somewhere, and you'll probably enjoy yourself pregame. I don't know about during the game, but you'll enjoy yourself pregame. Mm-hmm. Philadelphia, I don't know what they're known for. I mean, just Philly cheesesteaks, but you can't really pregame those things.
I guess that's Andy Reid.
I heard Andy Reid. I can't believe that no one brought this up. I was watching a show the other day, and they had a clip where you could only hear Andy Reid. You didn't see Andy Reid. And I was like, is he on a Stairmaster? Like everything they asked him, he was out of breath. Dude, that's scary, man. And I really don't want to make too much light of it because, he'll drop dead on us and everyone's going to be like, oh, McGee said. I mean, I'm just worried about the guy. I mean, he literally, every time he had a breath and he was sitting down, every time that he spoke, it was, well, I'm like, dude, you either sound like you're on the Stairmaster or you sound like that, I should have blocked your call. Either way. All right, let's get into it. And we will be giving y'all the updates of the Mount Rushmore of conference championship games that comes up here on the end of the show. And I jotted down everyone's because it was kind of interesting where a lot of people went. There were a couple that were by far on there, and then there were others that just missed them. So we do have some honorable mentions on that. What about the Super Bowl futures? And the reason why I bring this up, because when you talk about Super Bowl futures in these games, so what you're doing is you're projecting who would be the favorite to win it if. So in other words, we'll just say, for instance, if Philly plays Kansas City, the two favorites today, who would be the favorite? And I was wondering, kind of get the idea from y'all as far as what are your favorite future bowl super plays between that and the MVPs. Start with you, Bobby.
Well, I'm not sure if this is what you're asking, but for Super Bowl MVP, I guess I got Jalen Hurts. I saw him at plus 300. I think the Eagles are going to win the Super Bowl. They're my prediction right now. And I think it would take a huge effort from either A.J. Brown or Devontae Smith to take away the Super Bowl MVP from him. So I think he'll get it at plus 300.
Tones, what say you?
One bet I really like is a future bet. I know Bobby just said he's confident in the Eagles. I personally like AFC Conference to win the Super Bowl. You could get that at -110. It's pretty much a pick 'em. I think the Bengals Chiefs winner will ultimately go on to win the Super Bowl. So I like the AFC Conference winner to win that. And then as far as MVP concerns for the Super Bowl, let's go with the guy who's been there, done that before, although he's a little banged up. Patrick Mahomes is pretty good value in my opinion. Last time I checked, he was times 400. Not sure if that changed or not, but if you could get Mahomes, put 20 on it to win 80, oh, why not?
Joey, what is your favorite future, excuse me?
When I'm looking at the MVPs, I'm trying to stay away from the quarterbacks because they have the lowest odds, but I do like, for example, if San Fran were to win the Super Bowl, Christian McCaffrey could be right in the thick of things. I like him at plus 1,400. From the AFC side of things, Travis Kelce, look, Mahomes is going to be a little hobbled regardless of what happens in either of these games, most likely. And Kelsey's his favorite target at plus 2,500. So I'm kind of looking at some more gadget players. McCaffrey plus 1,400, Kelce plus 2,500 for Super Bowl MVP.
So the running backs I liked, I talked about it all week. In fact, at one point, I grabbed it at 15-1, so it was plus 1,500. CMC for the Super Bowl MVP. Because if they do get there and they do win it, you could see Brock Purdy throwing for under 200 yards and McCaffrey going off and being the reason why they win it, right?
Mm-hmm.
The question I have for y'all is let's take San Francisco out of the mix. Say Philly, Cincy, or Kansas City win the Super Bowl, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is there any realistic way that if it's not a running back that has just some ridiculous game, that it's not one of their quarterbacks that win it? Because if let's say Kelsey goes out there and scores 2 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns, 120 yards passing, does that not mean that Mahomes throws for 304 or 5 touchdowns?
Mm-hmm.
That was in today's game, like 20, 30 years ago, people voted on this. They were really more logical than what they are nowadays. All the analytics that we're surrounded by, today's Super Bowl voting always just seems to go to the winning quarterback.
Mm-hmm. And we've seen that with the Bucs not too long ago, a couple of years back. Gronk was the one who got them that big lead, had a couple touchdowns early, had a big game, and then Brady was the one who won MVP. So
I don't know if that was right. Do you?
No, I think Gronk should have won it, to be honest. I think he played the most important role in that game. If you take away those 2 touchdowns from Gronk, we don't get that big surge of energy. I know Brady threw those, but Gronk was the one who really propelled us to that big lead. And then James White should have won it. And I forget the year exactly, but he had a big year once, and Brady still won it as well. So I love Tom Brady, but he got lucky with 2 Super Bowl MVP
And
awards.
to be honest with you, the most valuable players for Tampa Bay that year was their defense.
Correct.
They won because they didn't have a puncher's chance. The first Tampa Bay Super Bowl was actually won by defensive player.
Dexter Jackson.
Do you know where Dexter Jackson went to college?
Florida State, I'm gonna guess.
The Florida State University.
There you go.
And to add on to top of that, Peyton Manning's first Super Bowl in 2006 against the Bears, he was not close to the MVP in terms of statistics, and they just gave it to him. So it is very hard, to your point. I know Kelsey was one of my plays, but sometimes, the star power quarterback name, they win the Super Bowl and they don't have a bad game. They're just going to win it simply.
By the way, he wasn't the first Seminole to win the Super Bowl MVP. Anyone have a guess of who that may have been? No Googling. I don't even know if you could Google it fast enough.
I don't want my hands anywhere up here. I'll just.
They've named an award after him, Fred Biletnikoff. So here's the interesting one. If you really think that Cincinnati's going to win on today, and you think that they're going to win on Super Bowl Sunday, they're plus 290 right now to win the Super Bowl. That's an interesting one. Now, San Fran's got the best odds at, or highest odds at plus 350. But you have to be a big time San Francisco homer to believe that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because if they do win, they're going to be an underdog in the Super Bowl no matter who they play. If they play Cincy, it might be a pick 'em, but I think the line would swing to Burrow.
That's why I kind of like the AFC conference championship at -110, because either way, I think they're going to be favored, perhaps, especially if San Fran wins. And I like that. Get the odds while you can and pick them at -110.
And the lowest odds right now is for Philadelphia, plus 240. And actually, FanDuel, it's plus 230. Those are terrible odds. Because you're that's basically parlaying that they win today and that they win Super Bowl Sunday. Don't do that. If you believe in one of the others, okay, but don't go to FanDuel and bet plus 230 for Philly to win the Super Bowl. You should, if you were going to do that, you should have done that at the beginning of the playoffs where the odds were much higher. At this point, you're better off just betting today and then betting again on Super Bowl Sunday. Let's get into the we've already hit the MVP race. Real quick, of all these games, looking at the futures odds, here's one that the NFL MVP. I'll pull up the numbers real quick. To win the NFL MVP, Hurts and Mahomes are sitting dead even at plus 350. Joe Burrow as well. I must have pulled up the Super Bowl odds. Okay. It said NFL MVP odds in it, and I pulled up the Super Bowl odds. But you know what? Let's get back into that. That's actually a little more interesting. Who is going to win the MVP this year for the regular season? Bobby.
Patrick Mahomes.
You think it's going to be Mahomes?
I think it'll be Mahomes as well. Just if you take him away from that team, I think the Chiefs are a lot worse.
Who should win it?
Hurts, if he didn't get hurt.
He's only hurt 2 games. And it was pretty obvious they needed him because they couldn't get across the 50-yard line against the Saints.
Didn't Minshew bring him a W, though, or am I wrong on that?
No.
I don't think they won with him.
No.
That's why I'm gonna go where it hurts for a couple of reasons. Number one, that everyone thought, a lot of people were on that Giants train last week, kind of feeling them, myself included, and the Eagles just blew them out of the water once Hurts came back to the lineup. That team, the first 14 games of the season, was just electric. We went to Colts Eagles this year, Tones and I. The Colts were up 16-3, and then the Eagles in the fourth quarter with like 8 minutes left. Jalen Hurts just makes a couple big plays and wins it. So I think in terms of Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles, this man isn't getting enough credit. He should be the MVP.
I agree too. I think that, look, I see Hurts as the MVP. The 2 games that he missed, Minshew played well, but they did lose in Dallas. Then he played terribly against the Saints. And Hurts had to come back and play week 18 to win that game against New York, or they would not have gotten the first round bye. So he was 14-1 as a starter this year, or 15-1.
And I know it doesn't make the biggest difference, but he also made the biggest leap, obviously, out of these other quarterbacks. Like Mahomes, he's built himself up already. Joe Burrow, he went to the Super Bowl last year. I know it doesn't play a huge factor, but Hurts' leaps and bounds this year from a rookie to now, more credit to him.
The other thing is this whole narrative that people have of, well, it's the system. That's why. Are we going to try to sit here and pretend that Mahomes isn't benefiting from Andy Reid's coaching? I mean, come on. What are we talking about?
I think Mahomes will get the MVP just because he's already got the first team All-Pro nod over Hurts. I do think Hurts has a great case for it, and I'd probably vote for him if I, had any say in it. Looking at how different the team was when he wasn't in the lineup, it was night and day. He's been huge for the team.
And I'll tell you something else that I don't like about it is just across the board, I don't like the fact that everyone seems to, in the NFL and in the NBA, they always default and just give it to who they think the best player is, right? And I kind of go of the line of the way we kind of vote for Coach of the Year. you don't ever give it to the same guy twice, essentially. I would like to see more of that because I think it's more fun to have more MVPs.
And the thing that annoys me as well, we talked about it briefly, but I hate how it's just pretty much a quarterback's award at this point. I mean, look at us. We haven't even mentioned another position. All we have is mentioned Mahomes, Hurts, maybe
It's a
Burrow.
quarterback's league, unfortunately. I mean, that's just the way it is. Until they change the rules back to where they allow defense, that's just the way it's going to be.
Yeah, I agree, but I'm just saying some other guys are considerable mention some years. This year, maybe not, but some.
I mean,
years
look at
they're
last year. Jonathan
considered.
Taylor and Cooper Kupp had two of the best receivers for their positions, respectively, and didn't really get there. So, it's just more to your point. It's just so hard these days.
I mean, I'll give you an example how it's changed. So the first year that popped in my head was 1985. Marcus Allen was the MVP. You don't see running backs get it anymore. But more to the point of the voting in general, the most valuable players in the 1985 season was the Chicago Bear defense.
Mm-hmm.
And you could have gone on. There's like 4 guys you could have given it to that had much more impressive years than what Marcus Allen did. The Raiders were good that year, but the Bears were absolutely phenomenal in a runaway freight train.
Mm-hmm. It's like the Heisman, kind of the same thing now. These elite defenders, it's harder and harder for them to win it.
Yeah, and the same thing with I don't know if we'll ever get another Super Bowl MVP for defense.
No, I remember I put like $2 on Eli Apple to win it last year because it would have paid like $550 or something crazy.
Maybe a Nick Bosa if the 49ers got there. Maybe a Bosa.
Maybe, but they're more likely to default to Christian McCaffrey.
Right.
Yeah.
They'll say, "Well, they won the game 6-0, but look at the look at the 3 first downs that McCaffrey gutted out."
The Seahawks had a Super Bowl MVP. Who was the Super Bowl MVP in the Seahawks Broncos Super Bowl? I remember it was the defender for the Seahawks. I don't think it was
Bruce Irvin, was it?
It might have been Bruce Irvin. But that's probably the most recent
good call
defensive player to get an award like that.
I think it was Bruce Irvin because I don't think it was Bobby Wagner. I think that would be too vanilla. But and that Bruce Irvin was beloved there, so that would make sense.
It wasn't Richard Sherman either, the Shermanator.
It wasn't Brandon Browner. He was off doing steroids somewhere.
That was one of those Super Bowls. I did not watch the end of it, so I didn't even to be honest with you. I don't even remember. Maybe middle of the second quarter, I turned it off. I was like, "This is a snore fest."
It was Malcolm Smith, by the way. That's who it was.
Oh, Malcolm Smith. Okay.
What?
He had a great game. I think he had a pick. He had a bunch of sacks. He had a monster game. Everybody played well for the Seahawks in that one.
He fell off so hard after that, I remember.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly, because it sounds like a made-up name at this point. Malcolm who?
Madden created player.
I did not realize that we've had it as recently as Super Bowl 50. Von Miller won it.
Him too, yeah.
Player.
Oh, that game, yeah, that
was when Manning was a shell of his old self, though. You know what I'm saying? Like he was still a great veteran leader out there, but he really
easy. Do not speak ill of the dead.
I'm not. I love Manning. I'm just saying he was benched that year for Osweiler for a little bit. Although he ultimately saved the Broncos.
I don't know how important it is to win the Super Bowl MVP anyways. Not only you have Malcolm Smith, but back-to-back years, you had Eli Manning, Joe Flacco, and Malcolm Smith. So is it really that important? San Antonio Holmes won the Super Bowl MVP.
You have one Hall of Famer there, perhaps.
Deion Branch won the MVP.
Okay, so maybe with these people we're naming, though, maybe it is a little easier to win the Super Bowl MVP than we thought because we're naming a pretty good list here. Now,
I do remember the Larry Brown one.
Mm-hmm.
That was the Steelers Cowboys, and he had that huge interception. Pretty sure it was a pick six that was in a key part of the game. I think he had 2 interceptions overall.
The Bucks could have had a couple defensive Super Bowl MVPs in their original Super Bowl. They had 4 pick sixes in total, 2 of them by Dwight Smith. Dexter Jackson, he got 1. Dwight Smith got 2, and Jackson won it over Smith. But Jackson's interceptions were more important in that game. Derek Brooks ultimately had 1 as well, but that was a butt whooping on defense.
Richard Dent won the Super Bowl 20 MVP, which was the 85 season of the Bears I was just referring to. And you could have made an argument for him to win the NFL MVP that year, or Wilbur Marshall.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know where Wilbur Marshall went to college?
Florida.
He's a Gator.
I said Florida.
Do your research, Squire, if you're going to be a Gator fan. If you're going to have that Gator junk hanging out behind you, know who your Gators are.
Well, he wasn't even born yet.
I said Florida.
Doesn't matter. You think I saw Fred Biletnikoff play at Florida State?
Hey, I'm just giving Bobby a little pat on the back here. Come on now.
Thanks, Joey.
Got you.
I think if you took our 4 favorite sports teams and combined them all, we're covering the whole USA pretty much.
I mean, Joe Namath won a Super Bowl MVP, so it can't be that important.
Broadway Joe.
Of all the linebackers to have won one, I would have never guessed Chuck Howley.
I mean, it's really just luck. You know, it's who made the important play when all eyes were on the TV. It's kind of luck, not like 100%.
Here's an interesting
luck,
tale about Chuck Howley. Do you know what makes him unique of Super Bowl MVPs? And he didn't go to Florida State. That's not it. He is the only player from a losing team to be named MVP.
Wow.
Oh, wow. I didn't even know that.
That was I don't have in front of me the score, but that was that low scoring game between the Cowboys and the Colts.
And to me, that should never be a thing. They could even have a great game, but still, if your team wins, whoever makes the most important impact on the winning team should ultimately get it. Because if your team loses, well, you obviously could have done a little more to win the game.
Colts won on a last-second field goal, and that was so long ago that was back when I remember the video of it. The kicker just went straight up and kicked it, flat-footed kicked it. And B, the goalposts were at the front of the end zone.
I was going to say, was that the time when they were in front?
How the hell did they ever do? I mean, whoever thought that was a wise idea?
Safety was not a thing, apparently, because I just
throwing the ball forward. I'd have been like, "Yo, can we move this back?"
Do we think a special teamer will ever win it? You know, you had kickers if they go 5 for 5 in a game, or if a kick returner has a.
What year was that? 19.
I was going to say
7. Desmond Howard.
There we go.
Where did he go?
He's
Michigan man.
Michigan.
Mr. Heisman Trophy himself.
Yep, that's right.
He's always on the morning ESPN show. That's how I know that one.
I feel like I've forgotten more football than most people will ever know. All right. Bobby, making room for Doug here in a second. What is your lock of the day, and what is your one big thing?
My lock of the day, I got the Eagles covering tonight. I got them at -2.5. I don't think they run away with this one necessarily, but I think they win pretty comfortably. I like the Eagles to go on and win the Super Bowl as well. They're my lock of the day. And then my one big thing, I'm walking it off. Let's not forget who Patrick Mahomes is. I know we had this discussion on Friday, but look, Patrick Mahomes, he has an MVP. Burrow does not. Patrick Mahomes, 2 first-team All-Pros. Burrow has none. Patrick Mahomes has 5 Pro Bowls. Burrow has 1. Patrick Mahomes has a Super Bowl and a Super Bowl MVP to Burrow's none. I know Burrow has been great, and I know he has Mahomes' number right now, but don't forget who Patrick Mahomes is. That's all I got for you guys.
Wow. He's coming in hot.
I'm bringing the evidence. We had this talk. I'm bringing my proof now.
Are you wearing an Oklahoma Sooner jersey? What is
I'm not. I'm wearing a Kyler Murray
no.
jersey.
Yeah.
No,
should have just lied.
My walk off for you is let's not forget who Kyler Murray is.
You'll see with Sean Payton. You'll see when Sean Payton's coaching him.
This Oklahoma, this is for Jalen Hurts, and not for Kyler Murray. All right,
whatever.
We're going to take a quick break. Bobby, we'll see you next time. Doug's joining us here in a second, and we're going to take you all the way to kickoff. We'll be back in a flash.
Been all over the world, beat them all. And it's hard to believe, isn't it? Really hard to believe that so much man could be wrapped in such a good-looking package.
Hey, sports fans. The Key has a brand new show. Braves Country is coming your way weekdays 3 p.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern. Drive time on WQEE. Braves Country is a Southern sports talk show with Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks. We'll be talking the Atlanta Braves and Major League Baseball, along with everything important to sports fans in Braves Country. The SEC, ACC, Big Ten, and the National Football League, and the big sports news of the day. That's Braves Country with Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks. Weekdays, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. right here on WQEE The Key, 99.1 FM, and simulcasting on youtube.com/@Braves Country. Hey, y'all, I'm Mac McGee, and you don't want to miss as we covered the entire NFL on Armchair Quarterback Radio.
12-0 Chicago Bears. If they can go all the way, they would be 19-0. The last undefeated team in pro football history, these Miami Dolphins. 72-14-0 regular season. After the Super Bowl, they were 17-0 for a third down and 6. Cooper, Moore, and Clayton. Out of the way. Into the arms of Clayton. Oh, and are things going right for the Dolphins tonight? 42-yard touchdown, batted into the air at the line of scrimmage. This is vintage Monday Night Football. Final seconds ticking off. Bears will not go undefeated. But what a victory for the Dolphins. And Dan Marino reigns supreme once again.
Welcome back to Braves Country. Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks, weekdays, 3 to 5 p.m., drive time on WQEE.
I think you should retire.
Come on, Frank.
I'm sorry, but Maria's my wife. And if I can't support her in this, then she'll be like an ice pick in my ear until I die.
Well, the season's finally here, and the players hit the field. And every man feels like a boy, and every wife could kill. Because he's the armchair quarterback.
Welcome back.
He's full of beer and he's full of snacks. The all-American man.
Not quite sure what's going on with Doug, but we ain't got time. We're taking all the way to the top of the hour. We're going to be rocking and rolling in the link as Kansas City and Cincinnati will be on the horizon, but you'll get San Francisco versus or at the Philadelphia Eagles, and we are going to take you all the way to the top of the hour. So let's go ahead and start off with this Mount Rushmore. I know a lot of people hate these Mount Rushmores, but I thought this one was a little more fun. This is the Mount Rushmore of the conference championship games. I'm going to say probably of the modern era because no one really brought up any of the ones pre-1978-ish, right? Mm-hmm. So essentially you're looking at from Super Bowl 13 or 14 on. So, you know, the last 40 years, which I think is a decent measuring stick. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna preface it this way: the cheese stands alone. There was one that got more votes than any of them, so I'm not even gonna put that on the Mount Rushmore. It's the GOAT, and it's the gold standard that all others will always be held up to. And it may not be fair because it was the beginning of cable TV. It was the beginning of national sports coverage and wall to wall. But the 1982. The January of 82, but it is 81 season, the catch of San Francisco 49ers starting their dynasty against the Dallas Cowboys and Dwight Clark's catch in the back of the end zone is, to this day, in my opinion, the best. And it's one I voted for. It's one that I sent this out to several, not just guys on the shows, but also our loyal listeners. And it was the one that kept coming on and on and on and on again. So I went ahead and put it off to the side because it was so damn popular. I was like, this thing doesn't even belong on the Mount Rushmore. This thing, whatever you build up to sit on top of the Mount Rushmore, this is the thing that's going to look down on it. And it's going to be a picture of Dwight Clark in the back of the end zone making that catch while Joe Montana's off his back foot getting chased by Randy White, threading the needle in what could only be described as, I mean, it's, if you never seen the game, do yourself a favor sometime this week. Go on to YouTube and just watch the game. It was an improbable game. And what you have to understand too is this is in the middle, or it's essentially ends the Dallas Cowboys dynasty. And what a lot of folks don't realize is that this was already a bitter rivalry from the 1960s on, 49ers versus Dallas. But it was Joe Montana coming onto the scene. This is pre-Jerry Rice. This is what laid it all out. So that one stands alone. But the next one that we have on there is, if I can get a pick up here, I should have had this set up prior to. It would really make more of a. Here we go. Well, you know what? See if I can actually get the picture that I'm looking for. Nowhere to be found. Well, this is close enough. You know what? This is close enough. Let's go ahead and hit this one. I'll go ahead and share it onto the screen. If you're watching online, I'm going to put it in the screen. Any guesses of what the second most popular one was? Joey.
All
right.
I don't know. I would go with one of mine. I would go with one. Oh, wow.
The Drive.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's a good one.
And that once again, I know that predates y'all a little bit. Here's Doug. Doug's alarm clock finally,
yeah,
off.
really.
You're the last one to join us today, and you still overslept. So Doug, we're going over the Mount Rushmores, and we put one ahead of all of them because it got so many votes. It didn't even belong in the same list. So the one at the very, very top was Dwight Clark, catch in the back of the end zone, the catch. Number 2, undoubtedly, was this one here, the Drive. Yes. I remember it very vividly, and I think that was one of the first times as a young kid in the NFL that I really understood the game isn't over till it's over.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of people forget about this, or if they didn't watch it, they're just not aware of it, is the fact that that play just took them to overtime.
Yeah.
But it was a 98-yard drive from their own 2-yard line. Back then when the passing game was much, much different, and it was dinking and dunking down the field in Elway. We thought Elway was heading to a Super Bowl championship. He did not. He got his clock cleaned by the Giants, but that doesn't take away the greatness of that game.
Very true.
So the next one, not sure exactly what y'all can see because I can't see what y'all see as I'm typing it in. But the next one on the list that got the second most is there an actual meh? Well, here we go. This is close enough. We're gonna go ahead and unshare this, and we're gonna share the next one. Oops, that's a video. I don't want to share a video. I'm gonna share it with you. I told you what the heck that was about. Oh my word, that's okay. There's not really well, you know what? This was a pretty big play in the game. Let's go with this. Let's see here. All right. Another stupid video. All right. Well, here we go. I'm just going to go ahead and share it, and hopefully y'all can see it from the view that I can see, because this is going into the, here we go. What you're looking at is this over here, the 1992 Cowboys-Niners. And it wasn't that great of a game. It was a good game. It wasn't a great game, 30-20, but it got a lot of votes. And I think it was because the main thing is one of them sent me, it signified the end of the 49ers dominance and dynasty, and it springboarded the Cowboys into their run in the 90s. I mean, honestly, one of the ones that never got mentioned that I was a little surprised, especially because we have a resident Colts fan, the 95 AFC championship game between the Steelers and the Colts that came down to the very end. There was a Hail Mary. If you haven't ever seen it, Joey, because it's a little bit before your time, go back and see the video. Harbaugh chucks a Hail Mary in the end zone, and they almost caught it. I mean, it was in their hand, and they almost caught it.
I've seen a replay of that one. I still would go with 06 when Manning got his first one and the biggest comeback in conference championship history. But that Harbaugh game, I've seen replays of it. That was a lot of fun, that run they had, because nobody predicted that Colts team to do much that year. They were still the laughingstock of the NFL until really that season when Harbaugh made a surprise run and won in Kansas City.
Right, but the actual game itself was phenomenal. I was pulling for the Colts. I was all in, man. I was not a Steeler fan. I didn't want Cowboys Steelers. I wanted to see Cinderella. And maybe it was all for the best because they might have gotten their doors blown off.
Probably.
But that's what I was pulling for. All right, the next one. See, I don't see an actual. We'll just go with this. This is the closest thing that I can find. Was just preferenced by Joey. The next most popular one was the 06. And the biggest thing that people need to remember about this one, if you've forgotten it a little bit, is this game started off 21-3 Patriots.
Yep.
And those of us pulling for the Colts, I mean, I was really pulling for Peyton Manning, but those pulling was like, oh God, here we go again, man.
The monkey, yeah, like you just said, the monkey wasn't off his back. Asante Samuel gets that pick six, and a lot of people think that game is already over.
I was watching this game. I just gotten off work at a restaurant bar that I worked at in Middle Tennessee. Just gotten my first beer, sat down. Most of us were pulling for Peyton Manning for obvious reasons in Middle Tennessee. Remember, there was this one jackleg that we were friends with who was a Patriots fan. God, he just drive us nuts. Anyways, he's 21-3. I was like, oh my God. So then the tequila started flowing. And here comes the comeback. And I remember when they won that game, I mean, we were celebrating it like it was our team. It made the Super Bowl so anticlimactic.
Because it really did, because that Super Bowl against the Bears in the rain was kind of a snooze fest, turnovers. Yeah. And Peyton Manning, look, we lost to the Patriots 3 times prior to that, usually in Foxborough. This was a Steve Young, get me the monkey off your back type of game, and it brought so much joy to me. I'm glad it made the cut.
And here is the next one, and then I do have some we got some honorable mentions. I probably won't do the pictures because it takes too long to navigate over. Let me see if we can find it. I'm trying to find the one shot that made this game like everybody remembers it. Anyone take a wild guess what the fourth one on the Mount Rushmore is?
Is it post 2000 or pre 2000?
Pre. Here's the play. Here's a portion of the play. This is the play that not only changed the game, but it changed the franchise in the direction they went. It also changed the direction of a franchise that is playing today. It was post the greatest of the great 49ers Cowboys of the 81, sorry. And it was pre-2000. Does that give anyone any clues? And one of the teams is playing today, and the injury changed that team and another team who is playing today. So it wasn't against two teams that were going up against each other, but they were very significant. It was a very significant play that changed the trajectory of both. Anyone else? All right, without further ado, we'll bring you the number 4 one. And
San Fran at Washington, is it?
You got one right. The hit. Ooh. Giants versus 49ers, 1990, 15-13. I actually brought this game up within the past couple of weeks. I want to say it was to Joey, where I told you there wasn't a touchdown scored by the Giants.
Oh, that's right.
5 field goals to beat. Realize this was a rematch. The reason why this is so big, this was a rematch of earlier in the year where the two teams were undefeated on Monday Night Football. I want to say they were 10-0. It was somewhere in that neighborhood, and it was a big deal. It was a big build-up. San Fran won it, and it was the rematch. And because San Fran won it, they got the home field advantage. And there were a lot of matchups with Giants and 49ers in the 80s, and this kind of put a cap on the whole thing. But that hit you're seeing is Joe Montana getting smoked by Leonard. Oh, geez, what is his name? Doug, can you help me out there? What Leonard? Please. Anyways, Leonard Marshall. Leonard Marshall.
Leonard Marshall.
He drops, and when he drops him, the injury ends up hurting Montana so bad he has to have back surgery, and they shuffle in Steve Young. And that leads to Joe Montana heading to the Kansas City Chiefs. So that's why it's actually relevant to both to two franchises today. And that was the famous one where the Bills beat a much more talented and heavy favorited team in the Super Bowl of the Buffalo Bills, the beginning of the Buffalo Bills era. That was the wide right kick by what was his name? Norwide. Scott Norwood.
Norwood, yeah.
That was so that was the beginning of it. And we don't get that. Everyone was gearing up for 49ers Bills. Doug can tell you, everyone was looking forward to a shootout.
Mm-hmm.
Because the Niners are also back-to-back Super Bowl champions. Okay, so that's another reason why that game was so big. They were back-to-back Super Bowl champions. They were crushing everybody. They're going to take care of this crappy Giants team that can't move the ball. They rely on a running quarterback who's not very good throwing the ball. They're just going to run the ball and play defense. That's not going to beat the Niners. Does that sound familiar with the New York Giants football club? The only difference, it's very much what happened this year. The only difference is that Giants defense was elite. And you could not. This was the. I guess you'd probably say this was the height, the prime of Lawrence Taylor, wouldn't you, Doug?
Yeah, Taylor, Marshall, and I can't remember. Yeah,
remember Carl? That entire linebacking core was filthy, and they had just they were the original ones in the NFL to do the 3-4 defense. Before that, it was unheard of.
And it's what it made it possible. That linebacking core proved that a 3-4 can work.
Because Lawrence Taylor was that
dominant. Yep.
Kids, if you have not seen Lawrence Taylor in action, pull up his videos. It's stupid.
Mm-hmm.
We have not seen a player. We have not seen anyone affect a sport as much as Lawrence Taylor did since or before. And I'm even including Michael Jordan. Because he came in and he made everyone go, oh, it'd be good to have edge rushers.
Yep.
It took some teams longer than it should have, but people started by midway through Lawrence Taylor's career, you started caring about your they were more looking for defensive ends, but there were a lot of teams going to the 3-4. And I still think that's the best defense that I ever saw for several. The Bears' 85 defense was the best for one season, but for a long period of time, for like, we'll say 5 to 7 years, it was the Giants. And they wore the helmets the right way with Giants on the side. Giants. Not that Y lowercase crap. All right. Enough in memory lane. Well, that's a lie. These are the These are the honorable mentions. Let me get to the actual voting of the honorable mentions. Honorable mentions that were voted several times. One of them was, where is it at? Here's the list. Okay, 2021 Bengals, Kansas City. I mean, that was a pretty good one. I don't know if I would have ever put them up there. The Jags, New England one in 2017 season. I kind of forgotten about it. I mean, that really was. I mean, dude, the Jags won that game if they get the right calls by the refs. Unbelievably stupid. Unbelievably stupid. How that whole fumble return was called back. Was that Miles Jacks that scooped that up?
Mm-hmm.
They said he was down. He wasn't down. It changed the entire trajectory of the game. Minnesota Saints. Well, one that got more than that was the Minnesota Atlanta in 90. Was that the 98 season?
98, yeah.
Of course, Atlanta won, but what everybody remembers is that missed kick by Morton Anderson, who had been perfect. Or was that Gary Anderson? I always got the two of those kickers mixed up. But I want to say that was Morton. But he had been perfect all year long, and he shanked a gimme for Minnesota.
He went straight Maher mode.
And I still say it's his fault that we got that crappy Super Bowl. Because, man, that Minnesota team versus the Broncos team going for back-to-backs, that would have been fun.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's a first actual Super Bowl too that my memory goes back to. For me, I remember my dad get the Sports Illustrated, the Super Bowl coins. That Broncos Falcons Super Bowl is the first one I could vividly remember plays from.
That was the year of the Dirty Bird.
Yep,
the Dirty Bird. We got a little
Jamal
action
Anderson.
figure. We got an action figure. He was like jumping sideways.
I have it somewhere in my room. I don't know where it is.
Gary Anderson. That was Gary.
Yeah, I was going to say Gary Anderson. Don't make me feel old when that's your biggest memory.
Morton Anderson was the one. At one point, he picked for he kicked for the Falcons, but he was also a Saints kicker.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I think Morton was the one that kicked till he was like 60. I mean, it was ridiculous.
With the single face mask cross, I feel like he never let that go either. The single bar face mask.
Yeah, the one. Yeah, I remember that.
I think he was one of the last people to do it.
I mean, I think he kicked not like 13, 14 years ago. I remember he wore like the 1970s bar. Yeah,
that's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Speaking of things they don't do anymore with kickers, I want to see. Do you know? Let me see. I'm going to throw a name at. Doug's probably going to know this, but this is for the two younger guys, Joey and what would be the most famous one? Maybe Tony Franklin, Paul McFadden. Do you know what Tony Franklin did in kicking that you don't see anymore? Jeff Wilkins was another one.
I want to know because I got nothing.
Drop kick or like the drop kick?
No,
Tony Franklin.
It used to be a big thing when I was growing up in the 80s. Not half of them, but I'd say 15, 20%. Barefoot kickers.
No way.
Barefoot kickers. And they swore, oh, man, you got to be able to do it because you can feel the ball better. And meanwhile, back at the ranch, they're struggling to hit 45-yarders. And do you know what Rick Dempsey was famous for other than the fact that he had the longest field goal kick forever in NFL history?
Oh, I do.
Oh, I know you do. What made him different? Dempsey had half a foot.
Yeah.
His foot had been, I don't know, he'd been hitting some kind of accident, some kind of farming accident, one of those types of things. I mean,
yeah,
Tennessee, there's no telling what he did. But He was that his first name, Dempsey? I mean, Rick.
No, I don't think it was Rick. But
No,
Dempsey,
Rick played for the Baltimore Orioles.
yeah, I was gonna say I was starting to think of baseball when you said that.
Tom Dempsey.
Tom Dempsey. That's where
That's
it was.
it.
Okay,
That's
Tom
it.
Dempsey. Anyways, he got half his foot chopped off or whatever, and so he had his shoe. It looked like a block at the end. It wasn't like a typical toe going down. It looked like a block.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. It says born without toes on his right foot. This shoe is
born without it. Is that what the deal was?
Yeah, he was born without toes on his right
It was
foot.
one of those farming accidents or whatever.
Holy cow! This shoe is unreal.
He'd swing that like a hammer. I always thought it was. I mean, I don't know about you, Doug, but I always thought it was unfair. I was like,
a lot of people complained about it too because it was like it's like having somebody having a golf club. Yeah. It was like a big, gigantic golf club on the end of his foot,
like a sandwich.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Meanwhile, back at the ranch, the rest of them were out there trying to tee off with putters.
He probably struggled with a lot of other aspects, but not this one.
All right, well, we got to get into it because we're running out of time. Let's go ahead and hit it. Doug, give me your lock and give me your one big thing.
Lock. Bengals win by 4. My one big thing is all people have talked about Mahomes' leg. The biggest thing you're going to see in this game is the Bengals defense is going to be the difference. All year long, they've had the best quarterback completion rate against them, meaning they've stopped every quarterback all year. They have the lowest completion rate and the lowest QBR. So that defense is going to be stout.
Gotcha. Tones, what is your lock and your one big thing?
My lock is Travis Kelce to score a touchdown. He has won in 7 of his last 8 postseason games, and he has won in 4 straight postseason games. And my one big thing is pay attention to these games and how they're officiated. Ron Torber is officiating the AFC Championship game tonight. John Hussey, the NFC Championship game. Allegedly 2 of the best the NFL's got to offer. Let's see how they do.
They throw a lot of flags. Joey, what is your lock and one big thing?
My lock is Eagles -2.5, and that's because my one big thing, Mr. Brock Purdy plays like Mr. Irrelevant, and he's the struggle again. The San Francisco quarterback doesn't bring it, and the Eagles win and get to the Super Bowl.
Okay, so you've seen this all day long. I mean, Kansas City, Philly, the OU helmets, obviously, for Jalen Hurts of Philly. They look like that they're on a collision course to meet in the Super Bowl. That's why we've had it up there. So my one big thing is also my lock. Bam! LSU, Joe Burrow, and the San Francisco 49ers are going to meet in the Super Bowl. Let's go. My lock is Joe Burrow gets the Chiefs on the road. Let's go. Huh?
You pulled a little Lee Corso. You switched your helmets up. You switched your head. I like it.
Ready to crack my toe on the side of the couch at some point?
Pull a Dempsey.
Yeah, don't be a Dempsey, please.
Don't be a Dempsey.
If I do, if they have to chop my toes off, I'm getting that special shoe, and I'm trying out for the Jaguars next year.
What an ending.
You know what? Falcons indoors. Let's go. Come on.
Yeah.
All right, y'all have a great rest of your day. Keep it locked in here as we get ready for kickoff. We'll see you Monday to react. And I'll probably be doing the walk of shame, but we'll see what happens.
Goodbye, sweetheart. Well, it's time to go. We're back tomorrow with another show. Well, unless we're fired, we'll talk to you then. Goodbye, sweetheart. Goodbye.
Guys and gals, it's time to go. We'll see you on the next show.
Same bat time, same bat channel.
Thanks for listening to Braves Country with Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks on 99.1 FM WQEE, The Key in Noonan, Georgia, and simulcasting on youtube.com/@Braves Country. Braves Country comes your way weekdays, 3 p.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern. Please follow, like, and subscribe today. Armchair Quarterback Radio, your first choice for Southern sports.
Something of the 5th of September. Something of the 5th of September. She said a lot that I can't remember. Something of the 5th. Can I get another cigarette, please? Can I get another cigarette, please? Yeah, I know I live to regret it. Just give me another cigarette, please. Can I get another cigarette, please?
You're listening to WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key in Noonan, Georgia. Hey, sports fans, The Key has a brand new show. Braves Country is coming your way weekdays, 3 p.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern. Drive time on WQEE. Braves Country is a Southern sports talk show with Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks. We'll be talking the Atlanta Braves and Major League Baseball, along with everything important to sports fans